All right, another new topic here. We talked about Sonny. We talked, unfortunately, about Billy Miller. Next, we're going to move on to probably the hottest topic this week. Sprina, Spencer and Trina had a big week this week. I felt like I honestly felt like they had a lot of growth in this week alone, starting from Monday, where Spencer brought home the food and for a a little dinner, and Esme thought that the food was for her, and then Trina came over, and Spencer, just out of kindness and courtesy, said, "Well, what do you want to join us?" Um, and then Trina basically put him in his place.
Yeah, rightfully so. I'm really glad she did. And she spoke up because I'm tired of that girl just like letting things fester and not being outspoken about it. And I was a little mad at Spencer. I was like, you gonna invite her to your date? And like he sat down on the couch and started getting out all this food, and she was like, oh, you brought food for us? And I'm like, I know that food is not for you, girl. Like, I know this is not for you. So I was mad because I was like, Spencer, speak up. Like, you have a date
Yeah.
but thankfully she excused herself, when Trina showed up. And I was just like, girl.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I was just like, there was somebody, there was somebody online on X, I think, who pointed out that guys that Spencer was just so oblivious this entire time, and I think we talked about that last week. But just and I could understand that from a guy's point of view, that you know now with the situation between Esme and Trina, but I could also understand that Spencer being too nice to say, hey, this food's not for you. Trina's on her way over, make yourself scarce or whatever. I'm almost at the point now where I'm waiting for one of them, whether it's Spencer or Esme, to move out. And I like how Esme questioned Carly, do you still rent out the rooms above Kelly's?
Yeah. I was like, please move.
And
Move.
do you do you
I
think
was
that Spencer's going to have a problem with that because he's the one that wants to be there for his brother?
I hope not. I think they need separation because his living situation is, I feel like it's essentially killing his relationship with his girlfriend. So
Exactly. I agree. And I think he's finally starting to see it. And I mean, Trina's been there already. Trina's known that already. But I think Spencer is finally starting to see it, especially with the scenes they had at the gallery this week when Spencer's like, let's go away. Let's go away for a weekend or whatever and just, get out of Port Charles. And, I don't forget where they said they were going to go, but they're going to
I
go.
knew
What was that?
they're going to New York first, which
Yeah.
is what the compromise they decided on. And they're going to go to the city for a couple nights, couple days.
Yep.
And then he wanted to bring her to Turks and Caicos.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he was like, well, isn't it hurricane season? I don't know about that. Like, I think that's too much time away or whatever. And I'm like, girl, go to Turks and Caicos. He got the money. He's doing it. Go to Turks and Caicos. I was like, kind of hoping like she went for it, but she's like, no, let's just go away for a couple days to New York. So I'm guessing this next week is the week where they're going to do it because it was very much talked about
Yes.
with Trina Jocelyn that, okay, we're going to go away together to New York.
Yeah. This is
It's
it.
going to be my
Yep.
first time. And I was like, oh, I hope he's worth it because I don't know. I'm questioning his. I don't know if he's worth your first time, but I hope so because boy has been just way too wrapped up in the whole baby situation to
Yep.
really give your relationship that much effort and time. And I feel like most girls would have just probably gotten aggravated at this by this point and just broken up with Spencer, but Trina's holding on, and this may be like a real hot take, but I kind of feel like Trina has on rose-colored glasses when it comes to Spencer, and she
Yep.
just chooses to see him in the best light possible. And she's just so, I think she's almost too gracious to
Yeah.
forgive so many things. She's like, oh, but Spencer's like really trying. And I actually, like, she said that she liked that he wanted to be such a good big brother to Ace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's admirable to some degree, but I feel like she's giving him a little bit too much credit
Yep.
because he's so focused on the baby. That's like, I feel like that's become like 90% of his time is spent on the baby and
Right.
maybe 10% left over for Trina.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But I mean, look, she loves him, and I think when you love someone, you really do tend to see what you want to see about that person and not any of their flaws. So that's just kind of how I see their relationship. So
I agree.
I don't know. He better make that first time good. If he is done, like he better live up to that and then follow through after their first time and like really give their relationship the effort it deserves.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's the same thing where I feel like, but at the same time, I feel like Trina is, um, she's also wrapped up in a lot of her own family stuff. So, they're both, focusing on other things besides their relationship, and I agree. I feel like the relationship part of it has been put on the back burner. So now with them going away, and I'm glad it was Spencer that brought it up because he's the one that's kind of been so non-committal, if you want to call it that, because of the whole thing with his brother and him always putting him first. I'm glad that Spencer was the one that said, "Hey, why don't we go away for the weekend? Why don't we get away for a couple days? You're so focused with your family. I'm so focused here. Let's take some time for just us." And I'm glad that he was the one to bring it up and not Trina.
Right.
Uh, I I liked at the end of the week when Trina finally made it to the dorm and Joss was in there, and um she made Trina made a comment to Joss about are you guys like always doing it or whatever, or Joss said, "Oh, good thing you didn't come like 15 minutes ago or whatever because Dex is here," and and Trina's like, "Well, what are you guys always in bed?" I forget exactly what the wording was, but that was funny. I like that
I
they're
mean, they
showing.
do have probably the most active sex life of any couple I have seen on this show as of recently, and I think they get a lot of heat for that. But I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, they're both young in their early 20s, right, or late teens. Like that's what you do in your 20s. Like, I mean, might as well. I mean, you get old and some body parts start hurting and they're not going to work the way they're going to work. So you might as well use it while you got it, right? So I mean,
That's very true.
advantage of it.
Dex does not need Blue Chew, so
Yeah. So it does like that was kind of my complaint about Dex and Joss in the beginning. It was very much like I feel like they had a very sex-filled relationship in the very beginning, and I think it was kind of built on this lust
yeah,
they had for each other, but it did turn to love.
yes,
And I think
agree.
they are building on them as like a long-lasting relationship. So whether you like them or not, like they've gone from lust to love.
Yeah,
So they are a couple in love, and that's just what a couple in love, a very young couple in love does. But I do like the comment that Trina had because she also was like, "Well, you weren't like this with Cam," and Joss was like, "Well, that was a completely different relationship." And I,
and
I,
Cam's a completely different person too.
yeah. So I mean, I'm glad Cam was at least like brought up though. It was a nice mention. But yeah, I mean, that was a different relationship for Jocelyn. Like, I think she was just really getting to know maybe what she wanted
Right.
in a relationship and who she was. And I was very much like, I don't even remember if she did it with Oscar before
No,
she had it with Cam.
I don't think so.
She did that far back. So I think that was maybe her first time ever
Yeah.
with Cam. and it was his first time too. And then I think they realized in that relationship that sex wasn't going to solve, their issues.
Right.
So,
Well, I also think that at the time, not that Jocelyn's done too much maturing since then, but I also think that she was also very resentful of Cam because Cam was working all the time to help with his family. She could say outwardly that she appreciates his, responsibilities and being responsible, but I think she resented him because she never had until recently working at Kelly's for her mom, she never had to work a day in her life. So she doesn't know what it's like to struggle. Cam, knowing what Elizabeth does and the fact that Elizabeth is a nurse who works all the time and can barely make ends meet with 3 sons, he decided to help out around the house and help out with the finances. So him working, 3 jobs or 2 or 3 jobs, I think honestly, I think that kind of scared Joss away almost, where she could respect him, but she doesn't want to be where she doesn't have time with her boyfriend.
mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, but they're definitely 2 separate relationships, yes. And I think she made that clear. That it was just different. How she felt with Cam is different. How she feels with Dex, because I think it's a more adult relationship for her with Dex, and I mean rightfully so. They're two hot young people. Get it on, go for it. It's fine. I mean, I had issues with it in the beginning because I felt like all they did was spend time in bed, but like that's what 20-year-olds do. Yeah. But they do have conversations in bed, like meaningful conversations, which I kind of just glossed over in the beginning because I was like, what is up with having sex all the time? But now I just kind of see it for what it is, and I enjoy their relationship. And I think maybe once Trina does it with Spencer, maybe she'll get a taste of it. And she's like, okay, now I want to do it all the time too.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens. Maybe Sabrina will start having a real active sex life too. We'll find out.
It's like Pringles. Once you pop, you just can't stop.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I agree. I think that'll actually help the Sabrina fans get over their frustration with the writing. And I agree to a point. They've had more obstacles and hurdles than most relationships. But look at the 2 families you're putting together, the Cassadines, who have always had a very dysfunctional family, and then with Trina and her fatherhood coming out not too long ago, plus with the whole thing with Curtis and getting shot, and they've had a lot to go through in the Ashford household as well. So it's just it's I understand where the Sabrina fans are coming from, but at the same time, looking at it from a realistic life point of view, it is plausible. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I hope Spencer I think they both need this 2 days away from everything.
Agreed.
And they both need to focus on each other. And if they feel like having a first time is right for their relationship, kudos to them. Mm-hmm. But Spencer better make her pleasure the priority. That's all I'm saying. I'm putting it out there. The girl deserves it. So
yes, exactly. All right. Well, we're going to move on to another topic. Anything else to go over with Sabrina or Jex or any of that situation with the young team? Mm-mm. All right.
I'm good.
All right. We're going to stop here and we'll move on.